It's the end of an era as Titans has come to an end. With the series finale airing this week, it got me thinking about my top 10 favorite episodes. Titans was a show that I got into during the pandemic. You can check out my previous reviews of each season on the channel. But it's one show that, despite its flaws, I loved it. It was a comfort show, and it was great seeing certain characters for the first time in live action. This list was hard to compile, but my list is definitely going to differ from yours, so feel free down in the comments below. Let me know your favorite Titans episodes for people who are fans of the show. Let me know down in the comments below. Starting the list at number 10 is Lady Vic. I love this episode in Season 3. Not only is it a very good Barbara Gordon, Dick Grayson episode, but it's a good Jason Todd Scarecrow episode as well. We have the villain of Lady Vic, who of course is from the comics. I really like her. I kind of wish she was on the show more. The Batman fan in me really loves Season 3. Savannah Welch was the MVP of this season as Barbara Gordon. I love her relationship with Dick Grayson. Her and Bridget Thwaites had great chemistry. I love seeing the flashbacks 6 years prior. It was a very different incarnation of Barbara Gordon. There were many nods to the Adam West show with a cell phone, seeing Oracle in a computer program, but also this assassin who Barbara Gordon once faced off, having to face her now in her current condition. That fight in Crime Alley was just awesome. The stunt team did an amazing job. Yeah, Barbara may be in a wheelchair, but she can still kick ass and take names, and that fight was such a great fight. A highlight of this episode. And this is the episode where Jason Todd starts to feel a little bit expendable. You know, he feels like Jonathan Crane will get rid of him the first chance he gets, so he's going to have to make the first move. So we get to see him become more unhinged in this episode. Overall, it's just one of my favorite episodes of Season 3 and one of my favorite episodes of the series. After that, at number 9 is The Call is Coming from Inside the House. This is episode 10 of Season 3. Right after Souls, we get Donna Troy returning to Gotham City after she was resurrected. This was cool. We got a lot of sword action. She was with Lydia, one of the Themyscirans, one of the Amazonians, and kind of questioning what came back, if it was really Donna Troy or not, and reminding her that she comes from both the world of the Amazons and of man, and she's the best of both worlds. She can be a leader. This is the closest we ever got to seeing Connor Leslie as Troya. Meanwhile, Gotham is becoming unhinged. Starfire and Nightwing with the Titans, they attacked Jonathan Crane at a factory the previous episode, so they accidentally blew up something that contaminated the water. So everybody's dealing with a fear toxin. This is very much a season that's reminiscent of Batman Begins and Batman Arkham Knight, the video game. I love this episode because the Titans are basically debating whether or not they should turn themselves in. So for optics, they decide to turn themselves in, but they don't realize how corrupt GCPD is. And Scarecrow has Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, go and buy off the crook police. And we find out that the majority of GCPD officers are on Jonathan Crane's payroll. So they basically set up a trap for the Titans, and it has an awesome fight where all the Titans have to fight these corrupt GCPD officers. Barbara Gordon ends up getting herself arrested, and everybody is on the run. Love this. All the way to the end when Rachel returns and she sees Gar Logan. This is one of the more action-packed episodes of Season 3, and just one of my favorites that I like rewatching from time to time. After that, at number 8 is Dude, Where's My Gar? Dude, Where's My Gar is a great multiverse episode. Ryan Potter and Jeff Johns wrote this together, and you know, after the battle with Brother Blood, with Sebastian finally became Brother Blood, this man warned Gar Logan to go into the red. As we all know who that character is, it's his first time in live action. This is a very cool episode. A lot of nods to the comic books as well, with like Gar in this trance and seeing different versions of Gar from the different Titans medium, whether it be the animation or the comic books. And it's great seeing, even for small cameos, the multiverse in a way. This is almost like the Speed Force for the Flash, where we get to hear stuff from Adam West Batman, Superman the movie, Smallville, see Grant Morrison, Flash, Shazam. I would have loved to see some Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck stuff as well. But, you know, it's a multiverse. In the DC multiverse, everything is canon, and that's cool. The scene with Stargirl was great. And then we finally get to see Gar Logan's introduction. He has the best fight sequence. We finally get to see him transform into different animals. I love that entire sequence. All the way to the end when he lands in Doom Manor, and we see Cyborg find Beast Boy. One of my favorites. This and the next episode are just great as far as like Cyborg and Beast Boy finally sharing screen together, and also it's a nice Doom Patrol reunion that goes back to the first season of Titans when Gar left Doom Manor to go join the Titans. So overall, this is just a cool episode that was made with love from Ryan Potter, and it's about time that Beast Boy got his justice, got his due. After that, at number 7 is Brother Blood, Season 4, Episode 6. This episode kicked things in high gear. Season 4 wasn't entirely bad, it was just a little slow. Something felt off, and then the payoff happened with Episode 6. The whole time, we are introduced to Sebastian Sanger, who is played by Joseph Morgan. He's going to be Brother Blood. Mother Mayhem's going after him. So, like, they try to save him, but it turns out he doesn't want to be saved. We see his turmoil. We see all the adversity he had to go through in life. And what kind of creates his God complex as well. This is a cool episode in the fact that Rachel ends up getting her powers back after she loses them, but it lost the darkness of Trigon, so we get to see the white magic. We get to see Raven from the comics. And her suit was cool. I just wish we got the dark suit of that. It was just like the comics. Gar turns into a gorilla for the first time in a holy shit moment. Superboy starts to show some of his rebellion. So we get a scene where he's trying to go after Mother Mayhem. There's a great encounter there. And then that ending is a great battle because all the team members are working together. Jinx does bite the dust, but the Titans just kick ass and take names for the first time as a team, and then they lose. It was such an incredible cliffhanger, and I have to say that the score for this series is just incredible. I hope they release an isolated score. That ending where Sebastian accepts being Brother Blood just set up a lot of interesting things. I just wish it wasn't such a long hiatus for Part 2, and that Part 2 really continued what this episode started. This is just one of my favorite episodes of the season, and it's just a cool reveal because, you know, there are other villains like Scarecrow and Deathstroke, and even though they did fight Deathstroke in the comics, it felt like they were just getting Batman's leftovers. Brother Blood is a Titans villain, so it's kind of cool to see this. It feels like Teen Titans. After that, at number 6 is Lazarus. This is episode 5 of season 3. Episode 2 was a really cool episode as far as like the Red Hood stuff, but I like this because we get to see the backstory of how Jason Todd met Jonathan Crane, how he was getting over fear, how he was manipulated by fear by Jonathan Crane, and how he came back from the dead and the Red Hood persona was started, how he tried to make a difference. His friend there, I love that stuff. The soundtrack, you get In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida in some trippy sequence. You get Zombie Eaters by Faith No More. That scene was very reminiscent of like the Under the Red Hood film, Batman 89, and more so, it reminded me of The Crow, like the way he was just toying with one of the drug dealer guys. Like, I just love Red Hood in this. All the way to the dream sequence and his fears, seeing the relationship with Bruce and how he feels abandoned, how he feels like he's not a worthy son like Dick Grayson. Oh man, just some great stuff from start to finish. And I like it. It's one of the best flashback episodes of the season. And Curran Walters just kills it as a first live-action Jason Todd, and he is just an amazing Red Hood. That transformation was great, even to when he comes back in season 4. Jason Todd. Speaking of Jason Todd, yeah, episode 6 of season 1 is cool in the fact that we meet Jason Todd for the first time. We have basically Hive trying to kill Dick Grayson, and Jason Todd rescues him. He's keeping tabs on him, talking about trackers, talking about working with Bruce Wayne and being the new boy wonder. In the meantime, we also have people close to Dick Grayson, his circus family. They're being targeted, and we find out it's the son of Tony Zuko. We get to see that origin of Dick Grayson losing his parents, what happened there in flashbacks, in addition to him actually killing or just letting Tony Zuko die. That was just amazing. It was totally like a grittier version of Robin's Reckoning from Batman the Animated Series. I absolutely love this episode and the ending and what the consequences of that action were with the son and how like Boss Maroni burned him with acid. A cool moment with two Robins fighting together in live action. And more so, Jason Todd kind of already being unhinged. You know, he was beating up police officers and stuff, and then Robin's just like, there's no way Batman's cool with beating up cops. It's like, you have your own issues, but one day you're going to wake up and have no idea who you are. And that's great foreshadowing for what's to happen, even though it is a bit rushed with the Red Hood in Season 3. And overall, this is just a cool episode, and I'm a Batman Dick Grayson fan, and Season 1 really delivered a lot of good Dick Grayson material. After that, at number 4 is Titans Forever. The series finale was an emotional, epic, heartfelt one. They fight Brother Blood. They finally wear their costumes after like the second half. I love this. The stakes and the tone actually match up. Titans before sometimes try to have high stakes, but then it didn't feel like it was high stakes or it felt rushed. This, even though it was a bit rushed, you felt the stakes, and you weren't sure if everybody was going to be okay. Anna Jope and Brenton Thwaites are great as Dickory, Corey Anders, and Dick Grayson. Their romance made this series, but this episode, they give it their all and give some damn great performances for their final time as these characters. I love seeing what happened with Superboy. That was sad. Trigon, that was epic, but then he gets taken out super easily. They could have had more to do with Raven and how, like, she could have fought Brother Blood, but I love this with Project Icarus and a wormhole. Brother Blood's going to try to basically collide Earth and Tamaran together and blow him up. And to power this device, he needs Starfire, so the whole team is trying to save her, and it's just an epic fight to the end. The first time we get to see Tim Drake and Dick Grayson fighting in live action together. Robin and Nightwing, how freaking cool is that, man? I'm just, despite the potential Titans could have brought in further seasons, of what it could have done, we got to accept the accomplishments it did do, and this was a love letter to everything that came before. I would have loved to see Dawn, I would have loved to see Donna Troy, even Roy Harper, something, but with our core team, we finally get them as a team working together. Beast Boy, Raven, Tim Drake's Robin, Starfire, and then Superboy has a great moment to rescue. Reminded me very much of Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That final battle was nuts. Robin was like really giving it his all, and then Nightwing was wheezing like, oh my god, I wasn't sure if they're going to make it. All the way to that emotional send-off with Starfire flying for the first time, beating Brother Blood, blowing him up. And you thought that was it. You get that wonderful Christmas scene. There's emotions, but then she's all right, and she's finally like Starfire from the comics with the orange flames and everything. And everybody kind of goes their separate ways. This is a perfect series finale in that regard, and I love the ending. It was a perfect ending for Dick Grayson. You know, Dick Grayson was vengeful. He was dealing with violence with Batman, and he started living alone. You know, he didn't meet Rachel yet. He was a detective. And now that he ends up with Corey, it's a perfect arc for Dick Grayson in these 4 seasons. 5 years, 4 seasons, the end of an era, and a fitting conclusion. I have a couple of episodes tied, and it has to do with Hawk and Dove. So the first one, Hawk and Dove, is the second episode of season 1. A wonderful introduction to Hank Hall and Dawn Granger. I love what Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly bring. They were supposed to have a spinoff, but this is a great introduction. The pilot had things going, and we actually get to see a flashback. I love seeing them fight together. Hawk and Dove and Robin fight in an alley with Kids in America covered by Foo Fighters from 1991. I love that. And there's a lot of history that we don't know of yet that is featured in season 2. Dick Grayson pretty much tries to leave Rachel off with Hank and Dawn. And we get to learn about their crime-fighting methods. They're close to retiring. Hank is just injured, having to take steroids and drugs to basically get over the pain. And Robin helps them with this enemy, and he is brutal. I mean, like Ben Affleck, BVS, brutal. I love this. And it's a shocking end when this nuclear family pretty much goes and leaves him for dead almost. Dick Grayson's hanging by a building, Hank is knocked out, and Dawn gets thrown off a building. Such an amazing end and an introduction to these characters. After that is episode 9. It'd be Hank and Dawn. I love this episode and the fact that we get to see their origins. It's crazy seeing what Hank went through being assaulted and seeing what he went through with his brother, them starting to be Hawk and Dove, the original Hawk and Dove. And then how Hank met Dawn, and then what happened with the accident. She lost her mother, he lost his brother, they become close, and then he tells her what happened, he tells her why he fights crime, and he confronts his abuser, basically. And it's such a sick, horrible scene. Dawn confronts the guy on her own and is almost just like getting beat up by him before Hank arrives. And I love this moment because she's just like, you know what, call the cops, you weren't here. She closes the door and they beat him to death, basically. And that's what starts such a wonderful little arc in season 1. And going with that, I have to mention Hank and Dove. You know, episode 3 of season 3 was a powerful episode where Hank tries to help out Jason Todd and he betrays him and puts a bomb onto Hank's chest, and they have to stop him. There's some great moments that are reminiscent of BVS, with Superboy getting there too late, with The Dark Knight, with Jason Todd tricking Dove in the way that like Christian Bale's Batman was tricked by Heath Ledger's Joker. But there's also some emotional moments with Hank and Dawn here. Oh my gosh, such a heartbreaking episode. And Alan Ritchson gives it his all with humor and with the drama. I mean, it's just an amazing episode. Hawk and Dove may not be everyone's favorites, but they're one of my favorite characters, and I would have loved to see a spinoff or see them go right off into the sunset in the future. But these 3 episodes are pretty neck and neck, and I have to include them all as the Hawk and Dove arc. After that, at number 2 is Jericho, and then, in essence, Aqualad. I love the flashback episodes of Season 2. Not only am I a huge Donna Troy fan with Connor Leslie's portrayal, but this is also a great Deathstroke arc as well. In Aqualad, we get to see a flashback of the old Titans, what happened before the band broke up. We never saw that. We knew there is some trauma and some history when we saw Dick Grayson visit Hank and Dawn, but we never knew exactly what happened. Why Donna Troy was living in New York, why they're all separated, why he was working as a detective, So we get to learn what happened with Dick Grayson. We also get to see him date Dawn before she went back with Hank. That was cool, but in this episode, we're introduced to Aqualad. Yes, one of the sidekicks growing up. Garth is a great character, and we get to see how the original team worked. I love the original team. It would have been cool to have a season with the original team. It felt like the most Titans. They're in a tower. I wish we had a T-tower. It was just a building, but it was a cool episode nevertheless. We're also introduced to Jericho and Deathstroke. Deathstroke's a paid mercenary, basically. Zai Morales is a great Deathstroke, up there with Manu Bennett and Arrow. I love his portrayal, and it's just a great arc, and also romance, because Aqualad's really loved Donna Troy since they were kids, so there's all these feelings, and then she's just I have to run and go to Themyscira. I can't embrace this. She's basically scared. So you get to see them deal with that while the team is dealing with this new guy, Dr. Light, who's a villain. He's like a metahuman that steals electricity and light and uses it as energy. So it's cool seeing all these stories kind of work simultaneously and them fight him. There's a great love scene with Aqualad and Wonder Girl. Just when you think things are going to work out, he confesses his feelings before she leaves to Themyscira. He gets shot, and that's when Deathstroke is introduced. He was supposed to go after one of the Amazonians that works at the museum, and Garth got in the way. And I love it because you see also the downfall of Dick Grayson and how Dawn and Dick Grayson's relationship began to break apart. She's I love you because you're not like Batman. And then they want to find Deathstroke. They want revenge. And then she's just be Batman. And I love that moment. And she has to be careful what she wishes for, because in Jericho, he full on goes vengeance. He doesn't care. But people get in the crosshairs, and that's what adds to the darkness we see in Season 1, along with Batman. He just is a snowball effect. And then with the team separating, creating room for the new Titans, basically. Jericho's a cool episode in the fact that we actually get to see Deathstroke, Slade Wilson take the Mirakura and go through those experiments. There's some great fighting in this, reminiscent of Daredevil. I think the director of this did some episodes of Daredevil. You could tell with the music and everything. Seeing Jericho and what happened with him being attacked, becoming a metahuman, controlling people's bodies, but then also learning the truth about his father, and then how he gets in the crosshairs of that. Wonder Girl and Deathstroke have an awesome fight. One of my favorite fights of the series, along with Barbara Gordon and Lady Vic at the museum. Then we get Robin and Deathstroke fighting face to face. Jericho, of course, dies and his spirit goes into Deathstroke, but that was such a brutal fight. Oh my gosh, so much action and just casualties in the aftermath of all this. You see why Hank and Dawn get back together, and why Hank just hates Dick Grayson after all that. Why Donna says, you know what, I'm injured, I'm out of this, but if you need any help, if you need my help, find me in New York. Why that happens in episode 8. So it sets up everything for the Titans series. But it's a nice little short story flashback arc for the series, and it's just one of my favorites. There's a lot of other episodes, but I always come back to rewatching these. After that, at number 1, for me, my personal favorite episode of Titans still is Souls. Season 3, Episode 9. This is such a cool episode. It's the only one shot in black and white, but Tim Drake got shot by Jonathan Crane. He's in the afterlife. He's on this train, but guess who else is there? Donna Troy. And the reason why she's there longer is because they took her body to Themyscira, and Raven is working with the Amazonians to try and resurrect Donna Troy, try to restore her soul and bring her back to life. So this is a cool underworld episode where they have to deal with these fiends and wraiths that try to take them back to the underworld of Hades. So we get to see Hank and Donna Troy work together. We saw them interact, but we haven't really seen them in this way before. They also addressed the ludicrousy of Donna Troy's death in season 2, and like how hypocritical it is about holding on to vengeance and wanting to do stuff when she went over all that in season 2 over Garth's death. I love the moments here. Connor Leslie and Alan Richardson give some great performance. Jay Lacergo is great as well. Ma'am, how old do you think I am? I love the soundtrack with the use of Bon Jovi, how Raven is training and trying to learn the ways of the Amazons. They even said, you remind me of someone, and they're referring to Diana. And we get to learn about Lydia, this older Amazonian woman at Themyscira, and she's talking about how she lost her daughter. And there's a great lesson here, but you get to a scene where there's a bridge, upside down tree. There's some great fighting, cool nods to Ninja Turtles with Alan Richardson, but it's just like, tell Donna I love her. So Donna and Tim get to go, and she's like telling him, you're brave, and all this, and they disappear. They get to go back to their bodies. Hank, that might have not been possible because he got blown up, but we get to see closure with his brother, and that was such a great ending for his arc on this series. And then Tim Drake wakes up. It was only 90 seconds he was dead for. That's crazy that all the episode took place in 90 seconds. And then Raven discovers that Donna Troy's body disappeared in Themyscira, so she left. Bruce Wayne, in the meantime, throughout the episode, is basically writing his will and is planning to kill himself because he thought Jason died and he killed the Joker. He's unhinged, He's just like, I'm done. I failed. He left his body to burn. He's just coughing and he gets knocked out. And we see somebody super speed save him, and it's Donna Troy. And he's like, am I dead? He's like, no. It's like, but you are. And she's like, not anymore. We get to hear a cool rendition of the Wonder Girl theme. I love this resurrection and what they did, but it was also a cool standalone episode of Titans. And it's just a well-written episode that is just my personal favorite of the series. Anyway, that does it for my top 10 favorite Titans episodes. I know my list is going to greatly differ from yours, so for fans of the show who have loved this, share your Titans love and let me know your top 10 favorite episodes, or at least your favorite episode of the series. It's the end of an era, but may everyone stay safe and healthy. You can check out my previous Titans videos on the channel. Here's to the future and all the good things to come.